So here we are, round one fight, and in Ravnica, you should always choose to play. A lot of people, for some reason, think that having a fairly slow format means you should choose a draw. That's not the case in Ravnica. Because of bounce lands, you don't want to be discarding on turn 2. When you go turn 1, island, turn 2, bounce land, discard. That's not an ideal start, so yeah, choose to play. As a rule of thumb, there are a few exceptions, but even if you don't have bounce lands, your opponent might, so putting them on the draw is still pretty good. And if you don't have bounce lands, your deck's probably pretty fast, so yeah, just choose to play. Don't really think about it. This hand's pretty awesome, so it's an easy keep. Doesn't have any of the powerful spells, but it has ways of drawing them, so that's all we could ask for at this point. If I do draw a bounce land, I'll have quite a nice kind of succession of turn 2 Signet, turn 3 Dragonor's bounce land, or turn 3 Compulsive Research bounce land, or even Phantasm's bounce land. Basically, whatever the situation warrants, I can play. My opponent's mulliganed once, so pretty good, but not not ideal. Obviously, mulligan to 4 would have been ideal. Mulligan to 3 would not be a game, so you couldn't brag about it. I could last grasp that Rusalka, but I probably don't want to. I'd say it's one of the better Rusalkas, though. The white one doesn't really do much. The red one can actually ping people out, so it's something to keep an eye on during the game. That's something else that's worth keeping an eye on. That's a pretty good card. Certainly locks down my Dragonauts. But I think I might play them anyway. Yeah, I can try and race. I don't know what I could bluff with a blue mana, but I guess there's more. There's Dizzy Spell, which is -3, -1 to a creature. So that's better than bluffing something with black or red mana. I don't think there are any shocks or similar in the format. So I don't know why I'm even talking about this. It's completely irrelevant, but yeah, probably worth thinking about what mana to keep untapped most of the time. Veteran Armorsmith. Oh, lets my opponent attack. I guess the correct play is to attack with both here, just in case I don't block. I was going to say, he might just stop my guy from blocking and attack for 1. But I think attacking with both would have been better. It's like I was saying, it's unlikely that I have anything that costs 1. Repeal wouldn't do it because I don't have any targets for 0, so it would literally be Dizzy Spell or nothing. I think the correct oh no, I was going to say the correct play would have been to just attack without even, what am I saying, without making a creature, but then I can just block, so that would be bad. I guess I can not race, but try and fix my hand up for now and attack for 3 and then go on defensive next turn. Leave the black off, obviously, because it taps for Last Gasp and Lurking Informant. Hopefully I draw a land so I can discard one. Aha, I did. So it gives you... the way Magic Online used to work is it used to just say discard cards until you're done discarding. And so if you want to discard a land, you'd tap the land, it would go in your graveyard. And then you go, oh, I'm done. You'd tap a land to play it, but what would actually happen is then that would also go in your graveyard. So it now gives the option of, would you like land or 2 cards? So you can't mess up. So I'm obviously going to choose land, discard one of these mountains, and then I guess attack first, just because that's what you're supposed to do. Steamcore Wade's a nice pick up there as well. And then I'll just drop this Lurking Informant and pass. Although, because I've F8'd, I don't need to pass. If you don't know about F8, it's a really cool button to press. You press it once at the start of the game, and then whenever you're fully tapped out, it just passes priority automatically. So a lot of people seem to think it means you can't bluff with it, but it's not a no bluffs button. It just means that if you literally can't do anything, if you're fully tapped out, it passes automatically. So it won't pass if you've got a land untapped or if you've got a creature that can activate. It's only if you literally have nothing on board that can be done. So yeah, it's absolutely fine to just F8 at the start of the game. So it's pretty cool. What I can do here is Steamcore Weird that, and then Last Gasp that, which I think is what I'm going to do. And then attack for 4. So my opponent didn't attack last time because they brought this out, and so I can actually kind of try and race them here, so I think I might just go for that plan. Make sure I've got red in the pool when I play it. So I'll reduce the toughness of their creatures. And get rid of the big guy. I think I might be transmuting this Drift of Phantasm. I don't really need the blocker at the moment, especially because of this, so I think... Oh, okay, I didn't attack. I was distracted by commentary and skipped through my attack phase. Okay, having just said there are no downsides to F8, this is one of them. If you're distracted and you tap out in your pre-combat main phase, it does just pass priority automatically. So make sure you don't just skip straight through your combat like I just did, because I just missed off 4 damage. Although having said that, I can now block this 3-2, so things turned out fine, I guess. I think I will actually block it as well. I'll just double block. My opponent's tapped out, so they can't have a trick, and I don't really mind trading a 3-drop for it. So I'm obviously going to lose my Dragonauts here, and my deck is not one that wants to race anyway, so that's absolutely fine. So what do I want to do here? What do I want to transmute for? I could transmute for Galvanic Arc, but I think what I'm actually going to do... Oh, no, I can't. So what I was thinking of doing is transmuting for a card draw spell. But actually, because of the lands I have, I don't have triple blue, so I can't actually do that, which is annoying. I think what I'll actually do is... I guess I don't really... There's no real point in attacking, because I'll just be trading 1 damage for 1 damage. Like I said, I'm not trying to race. And this is actually a useful thing to have up. I could attack with a Steam Core Weird, and then my opponent just says that can't block and attacks with that. But like I said, that's just trading 1 damage for 1 damage. I don't really need to. So I guess what I'll actually just do is make a rock farm. Returning... Red's my lowest density colour, so I'll just return a mountain. I may end up discarding that if I do transmute for compulsory research. So what I was saying before I got lost on a train of thought, no pun intended, was that I was going to transmute for compulsive research and just draw a bunch of cards, but I can't do that this turn, so maybe I'll start looking at my own draws for a while and try and fix those up, and then see if I can transmute for something better at the time. Another option would have been to transmute for Consult the Necrosage and make my opponent discard 2, but again, I couldn't do that because of the mana issues. It is good right now because they have only 2 cards in hand, so if I do draw an island or similar, I could run with that plan. But for now, I'm happy to just look at what I'm drawing. Aha, Ribbons of Night. Put this into the graveyard. No. And luckily my opponent has no red mana, so they can't sacrifice the creature in response. So let's get rid of this Trumpeter, I think. That's the most scary creature. I'm not too worried about this Swiftblade because I've got Repeal, so if they do try something funny, I just bounce it. I think I've tapped the right amount of mana. And my opponent just concedes to the Ribbons of Night. And for some reason shows me their hand as well. I don't know why you'd concede with that. I mean, that's a card. That's interesting, I guess. Cleansing Beam would have been good, because they would have untapped and made a Sellsword Brute. And then I would have swept their entire board. A nice cheeky 3-for-1 there. So I guess it's lucky they did concede for their own sake. Do I want to board anything? I guess I could bring in the Surveying Sprite because they look like quite a fast deck. I could take out the Stratos Epilid, but I think my deck's a bit... I just don't have enough win conditions. It's a bit light on that. So what I might do is take out this Brain Spell, just because it probably is my worst 5-drop. The other 3 removal spells are really good, and Ogre Savant's really good. Although having said that, Ogre Savant is slightly worse against a deck full of 2-drops. So I could take out Ogre Savant. It's hard to say how good Brainspool. I didn't see that much of the deck, but it did seem like it was a very aggressive deck. A lot of... Well, it was red, white, green, which is obviously an aggressive colour set. Yeah, maybe I will swap the Brainspoil out for a Surveying Sprite, just so I have an early roadblock. Once I do get into my 5-drop range, I think it will be difficult to lose against that deck, so... Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'll probably make the switch back when I'm on the play, just because Surveying Sprite is a lot worse on the play. This hand's pretty good. I can't really fault it. I get a turn 3 Dragonauts into a turn 4 Ribbons of Night, so yeah, we'll keep that. Like I was saying earlier, Rot Farm is only one colour in this deck, but it's still a pretty good land just as a swamp colourless, effectively. So yeah, it's one land that adds 2 mana. It's basically card advantage, and it lets you play 16 lands in a control deck. So I could play this Lurking Informant, but I think I'd rather just play the Dragonauts next turn with a bounce land. A Bloodscale Prowler without Bloodthirst is quite depressing. And because I want to block next turn, I think I'll actually probably just make the Informant rather than Dragonauts, because I don't want to trade off a Dragonauts with a Bloodscale, so yeah, I'll just pop down an Informant with the red, with the blue, sorry. And I guess I should probably... I don't really think it really matters what land I return. I'll either have 2 black or 2 blue in play, and I don't really need either. Boarded out Brain Spoil, so yeah. As long as I remember to replay it next turn and don't give away too much information. So yeah, if my opponent attacks here, I will just block. Not just because I want to trade, but also because there is Bloodthirst in this format, so if you're ever unsure on whether you should block, just block. I don't want my opponent to start playing 2 mana 3/3 tramples, or not on this turn, but 5 mana 5/6 without trample. Sorry, is actually a really relevant one. Oh, Siege Spark, that is pretty good against me. Luckily, I do have the mountain, so I can still just make a Dragonauts. And luckily, I don't mana burn. I would have had to in the past. For some reason, it still warns you when you're about to pass with mana in your mana pool, but not so much an issue. Yeah, that Watchwolf's just going to die. Ghost Warden. Ghost Warden's a really good card, but I think it's less scary than a Watchwolf right now, just because it doesn't let any of the creatures punch through, and I can just dismiss it and then deal with it later on. So Watchwolf's the only card that's actually posing a threat right now, so I'll just off that, gain 4 life and draw a card. Thank you very much. What I could have done there, actually, I think that was possibly a misplay. I've got Consult Necrosage and my opponent has 2 cards in hand, so it might be better to just make them discard and take a hit and then Ribbons of Night next turn, but I was too excited to just cast it there and then. My opponent stopped responding though. Probably in a... yeah, I was going to say, I'd probably start going to complaining about Ribbons of Night. This matchup with removal you got is impossible, although they have only seen my Ribbons of Night, so I'm not sure what removal they're referring to. I'll reply to that, be nice. Yeah, Ribbons is nice. I guess they saw Last Gasp in game 1 as well. Can't remember if there's anything else. Oh no, I'm going to lose my wee Dragonauts. Whee! Well, that's now a dead card. I probably should have boarded that out, actually. What should I do? I think I'm going to make myself draw 2 and then hopefully be able to play a Stinkweed Imp. It's not going to do much, because my opponent has a Trumpeter, but at least make them use it. Yeah, it's better than Phantasms right now, I think. Because it actually threatens to kill some creatures. Although having said that, Phantasm might be better because it just blocks without dying, because Ghost Warden means Stinkweed Imp will just die to whatever it blocks. So actually it might have been better. I probably should have thought that. Phantasms would have been better. Especially because I'm short on blue mana, so... yeah, that was a misplay. So yeah, my opponent just attacks here. I think what I'll actually do is take the 3, and then I can dismiss the Ghost Warden next turn. Is that the right play? Do I just want to get a creature off the board and then I can dismiss anyway? Because Stinkweed Imp's really not... It's basically a dead card. I don't know why this Thundersong Trumpeter's even... I don't know why they didn't just use it. Because what they can just do is just stop my Stinkweed Imp blocking, so it's not even that relevant a card. I think I'll just block. Is the kind of creature I block relevant? I think so, because I've got Cleansing Beam, so it'd be better if I hit the Trumpeter and sweep the board. At which point Saplings won't get hit, so yeah, I'll get rid of a green creature. So I don't want to dredge. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So if I play the research, so I kind of want to play Signet and something else. If I played Signet Research and then I draw a land, I could also play a Drift. So I might try for that. So yeah, I'll play this off my Rot Farm because I don't really need those colours of mana at the moment. And then yeah, I'll just target myself. I don't think there's anything for black that I'd play here, but I might draw a Galvanic Arc, so I'll leave up blue-red. I think it asks me on each draw whether I want to dredge, and the answer is always no. Ah, there's a Cleansing Beam. So I want to discard 2 cards this time. One of them is definitely going to be Strands of Undeath. And the question is, do I need the Strato Zeppelid? It's actually doing complete nothing here, so I think the answer is no. I think I'm just going to discard it and then I guess draw loads of cards with Train of Thought. Yeah, I think that's the plan. I'm hoping that I don't need to win the game because my opponent just conceded in the first game when they saw Ribbons of Night. I'm hoping that happens again by the time I sweep their board with Cleansing Beam and get enough card advantage. I don't actually need to physically win the game, so that Strato Zeppelin hopefully won't be necessary. That's now my game plan. So they actually used the Trumpeter this turn, learnt their lesson, and pit me in for 3. Still don't want that Stinkweed Imp. I don't need to Cleansing Beam yet. I kind of just want to draw a card, so I guess that's what I'll do. I keep tapping the wrong mana. I'll tap that, I guess. And then replicate once. So replicate. Yeah. It always defaults on 1 for some reason. I'm not sure why. Even if you've only got 2 mana, it'll still say replicate 1. Still don't want that Stinkweed Imp. This time I actually might. No, it's still not doing anything. It just dies to whatever it blocks. So yeah, I still don't want it. Ah, Last Gasp. That is a good draw. I don't really need to use it yet though, because Drift of Phantasms would just block a Trumpeter, and Last Gasping Trumpeter therefore has no effect, so I'll just keep it as something useful to have. I can also just cast Cleansing Beam if I need to, so let's see what my opponent does. Yeah, still just trumpeting me. I'm happy to just keep taking damage at this point. I don't need to act on anything. Still don't want that Stinkweed Imp. Don't really want these lands either though. Tapped all my blue, but I can't bother to untap, so I'm going to dismiss this Ghost Warden just to buy a turn, stop my opponent attacking. So I put that on top. Actually, I could just kill the Sapling. I think that might be better. Yeah, in a way I kind of want my opponent to draw cards. Yeah, might as well, I guess. I want my opponent to draw cards so they draw a red-white creature and just play it. It looks like that's what's happened as well. Yeah, perfect. Hopefully I can get them next turn. If they attack and pump, I just, in response, sweep your board. Yeah, I'm going to take 2 damage here. Still don't want that sync with imp. Aha! So, I'm not losing to 3 drops or 6 drops. Yeah, I think the play here is just pass, sweep the board, then untap and play the Praetor. And at that point my opponent might just scoop. Hopefully they draw a red-white creature and just drop it pre-combat like they did last turn. Sky Knight Legionnaire or something, that would be ideal. No, that hasn't happened, sadly. I'm just going to have the 4-for-1. Make do with the 4-for-1. So, I guess I block this and then they're going to pump it, and then if all goes wrong, I'll kind of do that a bunch of times to make it look like I don't know what I'm doing. And if all goes wrong and they have some kind of pump spell, I can just last gasp it in response and then it's not all bad. Whereas if I block that and they kill it and then they pumped it and then I had to last gasp a 1-1 out of the way, so that wouldn't be ideal. So I'll block like this. Just because if there is a fight over it, I end up killing a better creature. So let's see if they want to fight, and if not, they might just scoop. So if they do pump, what I'd do is let the pump resolve, then let Cleansing Beam resolve to sweep the board, and then last gasp, because if I last gasp in response to the pump spell, I wouldn't get to sweep the board with Cleansing Beam. Because of that, I probably should have targeted the Thundersong Trumpeter with Cleansing Beam, actually. Probably should have thought that through slightly more. Especially because if the pump spell is something like Wild Size, they draw a card off it. There is a pause again, and no, nothing's happening. I was going to say my opponent might be complaining in the chat again. Or they didn't really complain the first time, they just made a valid observation that I think it's a good matchup for me because they've got a bunch of crappy creatures and I've got a bunch of really good removal. And they're now trying to cast a card in the combat step, which you can't do unless it's an instant. Oh man, I wish I'd hit that as well. Them's the breaks. You can't have them all. My opponent's now said, wish I was in your half of the table. I'll give him a little tongue face. Which misser? Dismisser. Ploughing in for 2. And here it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I want to, I can trade my Drift of Phantasms for a Bloodscale Prowler with Sanguine Praetor's ability. My opponent says who was drafting me next to me was a complete idiot. I'll just tell them I've got 2 ribbons. Oh, they disconnected. Never mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for round 2.